Thanks for joining us on TVC News. We begin with political stories. The ruling All Progressives Congress can now conduct its planned national convention come March 26th. This comes as the High Court in the Federal Capital Territory vacated an order stopping the national convention of the party billed for March 26th. And while delivering judgment on the matter, Justice Bello Kawu argued that the political party cannot be sued by its member. The judge relied on a recent Supreme Court judgment to conclude his ruling. The ruling followed the twists in the leadership of the ruling party as it plans for the convention. Recently, there were tussles over the leadership of the party when Governor Sani Bello of Niger State took over as the acting national chairman of the APC in the absence of the caretaker extraordinary convention planning committee of the party, Governor Mimala Buni of Yobe State. But that has now been settled, as Governor Buni said all actions taken by his Niger State counterpart remained valid. He reiterated that he duly transmitted power to Governor Bello, who acted on his authority while he was away. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, says the federal government will give effect to the court judgment ordering it to expunge Section 84, subsection 12 of the amended Electoral Act. The AGF's position was contained in a statement signed by his special advisor on media and public relations, Omar Jibril Gwandu. It further stated that parts of the law will be treated accordingly and will be recognized by the government printers in printing the Electoral Acts. Still in courts, the Federal High Court sitting in Mwaya, Abia State, had held that the section was unconstitutional, invalid, illegal, null and void, and of no effect whatsoever, and cannot stand because it is in violation of the clear provisions of the Constitution. The section says, quote, no political appointee at any level shall be voting delegate or be voted for at the convention or congress of any political party for the purpose of the nomination of the candidates for any election, end quote. TVC's Prince Uba reports. We'll bring you that report in our subsequent bulletin. Governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, says he is committed to handing over a vibrant state to his successor and wants his team to stay focused in the 14 months left in his administration. Governor Okowa spoke at a two-day retreat for top government functionaries in Asaba. Ikena Mechi reports. Talking about the ongoing ASUU strike, members of the Youth Parliament in Ondo State have urged the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities to review the industrial action in the interest of the country's education system. The youth also challenged the federal government to meet the demands of the striking lecturers in the interest of the students. They made this appeal at the sitting in Akure, the state capital. Ayodeji Moradeyo reports.
The strike embarked upon by members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, has paralyzed activities in universities across Nigeria. The lecturers, among other demands, want better funding of the education sector. This issue and many others came up for discussion at a sitting of the Ondo State Youth Parliament in Akure, the state capital. The youth want both parties in the industrial dispute to shift ground in the interest of the students. The Speaker of the Parliament, Smith Ikumakpayi, said the strike has crippled academic activities in the universities.
ASUU and the federal government that they should come together, they should sit down and have a roundtable discussion on how to find a lasting solution to the demands of ASUU. They should look into the demands, and ASUU should also please compromise too. They might not get all what they want for the interest of the average student at home that's at the receiving end of their action.
Starting to look like a prevalent thing in Nigeria, surrounding our educational system, where the government have to force lecturers, teachers to go on strike, affecting the education of those youth. It's really quite unfortunate, and we can only still continue to plead and look up to the government to find a way around.
The young parliamentarians also urge youth to take charge of the political space. They agree that more youths are venturing into politics, which they say should be given more push.
The monetization of election is the demonization of the youth. It forces the youth to the corner and ensures that they look for every means possible, especially those interested in the act of governance or leadership.
A workable policy that will be able to elevate, the standard of living of young people in this community. And I think that demography, young people, is a very critical segment of our society that we cannot afford.
Parliamentarians also agreed that aggressive participation in voter registration is of paramount importance for the young ones to take charge politically. Ayodeji Moradi, TVC News, Akure.
The appointment of Professor Adebayo Bamire as the new Vice-Chancellor of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, has been greeted with protest by some Ife indigents who wants an indigene be appointed into the office for the first time in 61 years. The protesters vow to continue the protest until their demands are met. Professor Adebayo Bamire, the current Vice-Chancellor Academics, is an indigene of Oyo in Odo-Otin local government area of Osun State. Our correspondent Rafi Hamid reports.
Obafemi Awolowo University, OAU, Ile-Ife, was established in 1961. It has had 11 vice-chancellors, and the tenure of the incumbent, Professor Iyitoke Ogunbodede, ends on the 7th of June this year. In line with tradition, 16 persons applied to take up the job, and after necessary steps were taken, the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Council of the University, Owele Oscar Udoji, announced Professor Adebayo Bamire as the new Vice-Chancellor.
In line with the provisions of the University's Miscellaneous Provision Amendment Act as amended, the report of the Selection Board was considered by the Council, which, after a careful and dispassionate review of the report, decided to appoint Professor Adebayo Simeon Bamire, a professor of agricultural economics from the Faculty of Agriculture, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, as the Vice-Chancellor of the University with effect from June 7, 2022.
But this was immediately greeted with protest by some people, especially the indigenes of the town. They said an indigene of the town among the contestants must be picked as the successor to Professor Iyitoke Ogunbodede. The protest continued on Friday as they shut the entrance gate, preventing movement of vehicles in and out of the university. Carrying placards with various inscriptions, the protesters vowed not to allow academic activities take place.
We have been lenient with OU community for 61 years. We own this land. Our fathers gave this land. This soil is ours. If we cannot produce a substantive vice-chancellor for 61 years, we have failed. So what we are clamoring for is that for the period of 5 years, just a single time, test Ife. We have somebody that can do it. Yesterday we are here just briefly, but today we are here. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday we'll be here. We want to show them that we actually mean business them around. We are not saying Ife. We are saying Ife, federal constituency, after 61 years. This is the 12th VC that they appoint. We are going to fight it to the last call. We are not saying they should not appoint Banire. Banire should go back to Odo-Otin and become his VC.
The new Vice-Chancellor is the current Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academics of the institution and is expected to resume its new office on the 7th of June this year. Rafi Hamid, TVC News, Ile-Ife, Osun State.